Hey everybody, it's Charles from HumbleMechanic.com, and today we're talking about mechanics going on strike. This story has come to me from so many people out there in the audience asking me to chime in and weigh in on the striking mechanics in the Chicagoland area. The Chicagoland area, many technicians are part of a union. Their union contract expired and there was no contract written to replace it. So negotiations failed, of course, and the technicians walked out and went on strike. There's been so many stories going around, from dealership owners pushing toolboxes out in the rain to trying to run over striking technicians as they're moving cars on the lot. And, you know, when you watch a video of a car coming your way and someone getting out and throwing your stuff out of the way, well, you really kind of have to look at that as intimidation, I think is what they call it. This is an area of the world that I'm very familiar with. The story that I just talked about with the driving cars past the picketers and throwing their stuff around is a dealership that I used to drive past every single day in order to go to work. I grew up in the Chicagoland area, and while my time as a technician was not spent in a union shop, I grew up in a union household, and so did my wife. So we have a pretty interesting perspective of this arena, we'll call it. So why are these technicians striking? Well, like I said, the contract ended, so they, of course, like all of us, want more money, less expensive healthcare, which, sorry guys, that one's probably not going to happen. I don't think there's many people in this country that are paying less for health insurance than they were a number of years ago. Also, non-consecutive days off. They have a problem with a flex schedule, which we'll talk about all that in a second, as well as the terms for the apprenticeship. For some reason, on the last contract negotiations, they decided that an 8-year apprenticeship was a good idea. Well, getting rid of that, I think, makes total sense, because 8 years for an apprenticeship is ridiculous. And I don't mean 8 years as an apprenticeship in order to learn to fix cars. This is mostly about pay scale. As an apprentice, you can only make so much money until you graduate to that full-fledged journeyman technician. Then you can get your full-scale pay. So there's two sides to this. Well, three sides, really. There's the technicians and the union and the mechanics, and then there's the dealer owners, and then there's the customers and the non-union shops out there as well. There's posturing on both sides. Dealership says, if you don't get back to work, we're going to get rid of your stuff. Well, let's look at why they would do that. Should they be responsible for your things if you're not working there? Not necessarily on vacation or have the day off. You are on strike. You are not working there. I don't know. I don't know that they should be responsible for your tools and your toolbox and all your personal stuff that you keep in their building on their property. Now, should they have pushed this out in the rain? No, of course not. That's ridiculous. Should they have given guys one day to get their box out? Well, maybe. There are bad practices on both sides. So dealer groups, no, I don't think should have done that. Very uncool move. Doesn't look good for you. You can go to some of these Facebook pages. Napleton Cadillac, Naperville Cadillac, I think were the two main ones that the articles were focusing on. And you can see people slaying them in the comments. Look at that from their perspective. They walked off the job. As a dealership, I may not have such influence over the contract negotiations. I may not. I may, but I may not. So you walking off the job hurts me, and maybe I'm pissed, and maybe I shouldn't be responsible for all of your things. That being said, as a technician, if that happened to me, I don't think I would be rolling my toolbox back into the building. I'm pretty sure that that box would be coming home or going to a different shop in order to work on a different car line or just purely at a different dealership, because if someone was going to do that to me, I probably wouldn't want to work there. Now, the Napleton one is the one getting the most press. They pushed them out in the rain, they left them. They did actually end up pulling some of them back in, but I guess one got stuck, and of course, rusted tools after a day in the rain, we don't know. None of us opened up that box to look inside of it. So dealer groups kind of have a right to be upset. If I was Charles Volkswagen and owned one dealership, took good care of my technicians, but they were union, and they decided to strike, I don't know how I would feel about that. I would probably be pretty pissed. Now, there are some groups and some owners that are pure, and managers, we'll put that on there too, that are pure straight scumbags, okay? Scumbag to the max. These dealerships that treated their technicians poorly may be that scumbag to the max thing. I've heard Even here where I live, management referring to people like technicians and parts counter employees as, trained monkeys, a dime a dozen, replaceable like that. Well, the replaceable like that is sort of true, but and talked very, very poorly about them, while you look to the sales force and that's like, it feels like all the resource goes to the sales department and the technicians get left behind. Now let's look at it from the mechanic standpoint of what they want. They want more money. Okay, we all do, no problem. They want a 40-hour work week guarantee. Okay, they already have a 34-hour-a-week guarantee, so we're not talking about a ton, but there's always more to the story. Cheaper healthcare, this apprenticeship thing, which is just mind-bogglingly stupid to me. I don't know why you guys would have ever agreed to that in a contract if that's how it came about. I'm with you on that one. Lose that. It should be 3 to 4 years maximum for an apprenticeship until you can graduate to a full journeyman, maybe 5 years if you're really pushing it. Non-consecutive days off, so I'm guessing a lot of guys are having to work Sundays, which I'm with you on that one too. That was a deal breaker for me. The dealer group I worked for tried it at the Honda store. Thankfully, it failed miserably because you're not going to see this guy having a real good attitude rolling in on a Sunday unless I had no other choice. And something called the flex schedule, which I assume maybe means that they're working some nights, like weekends, of course, and that kind of thing, maybe working a later shift. This really all depends. Most of this stuff I would assume would be set by the dealership, not necessarily by the contracts in the union agreements, but we don't know the specifics of each individual dealer and each individual group. So just like the shop owners or the dealership owners, there's posturing on this side. We're walking out if we don't get this. We're walking out if we don't get that. Well, that's your choice. There was one other thing that they had also mentioned, and that's like career path opportunities. And I kind of get that because there's not a lot. There's purely, though, not a lot for technicians. Most technicians feel like once I'm a tech, once I'm wrenching on cars, once I'm a mechanic, that's where it stops. I could be a shop foreman and that's it. And part of their deal was they wanted dealerships and dealer groups to take a bigger role in their advancement. Well, let me tell you something, guys. I get that, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but the advancement and career opportunities are our responsibility to make happen, not theirs. No one should be holding your hand, guiding you on your career path. If you want something better, get it yourself. That's how it works. That's how all industries work. That's how all jobs work. If you want those things, you have to go out and get it. You do not become successful by waiting for someone to do it for you, period. So the posturing on both sides to me is pretty interesting because, like I said, side A wants this, side B wants this, and they're not coming into the middle. So they decided, okay, technicians aren't gonna go to work. In a way, I get it. You should be compensated fairly. The system is broken. The automotive industry has shifted so much in the last 10 years, right? Manufacturers dropping labor times, manufacturers kicking out oil changes to, over 3 times what it was back when, your dad was a technician or your dad was a mechanic and we changed the oil every 3K. Now we're doing it every 10, 12, 15,000 miles. Labor times slashed. Computers, right? The diagnostic path is way different today than it was 20 years ago. Not even close. Well, maybe close, but very, very different. So I get it, right? I understand why technicians feel like they're not compensated fairly. Free work, we've talked about free work. Flat rate, broken. Having to have a box full of tools just to step foot in the door is something that, unless you're a technician or were a technician, you don't understand. It's not like being a parts counter employee or a service employee or a salesman where all you need when you walk into the shop, the only thing you need to probably bring with you is a pen. And that's it in your brain. As a technician, I gotta have a box full of tools or I don't have a job. I can't do my job. I can't borrow Tommy's wrench every time I need to do an oil change. Tommy eventually is gonna tell me to go screw off. So if you're not a technician and have never been a technician, in the US, I should say, because the rest of the world, a lot of places work very, very differently, which is a model that I think we may move towards at some point. You don't understand that it costs thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just to roll your butt into work in the morning. That's something that, again, if you don't know, you've never had to do it, you just purely, I don't want to say can't, but do not understand that's what it takes. I guess what it all boils down to is there's going to be posturing everywhere, gnashing of teeth, beating of chests. Is there enough money to give the technicians what they want without skyrocketing a labor rate, right? That is going to then be transferred down to the customer, because the owners aren't going to take a pay cut. All this is going to do is going to roll downhill, and it's going to go to the customer. So you're going to end up charging your customer more. Well, now customer looks at it and says, dealership's already ridiculously expensive compared to, the mechanic up the road. Do I really want to go pay this rate when I can go to this family-owned place, get pretty good service most of the time, and pay a lot less? I don't know. Something to think about, though, before we ask for the world without thinking the consequence on the backside. Also, I will say, guys, as smart as us technicians can be, most of us, myself included, do not have the understanding of what it takes to truly keep the doors of a dealership open. There's a difference between running a mom and pop shop and a dealership. It is not cheap to keep the doors open either way. Light bill, heat bill, electric bill, air conditioning, tools, because a lot of shops will buy special tools, training, benefits, gloves, towels, soap. All that stuff is factored in keeping the doors open and transferred back to the customer. So when you look at your $30 an hour, and then you look at the door rate, labor rate of $150 an hour, and you think, man, I'm only making, X percent of what they're charging a customer. Well, first of all, you make more than $30 an hour because you're getting a benefit. If you're in a union, you're probably getting a pension. You're getting contributions to a 401k. You're getting part of your health care paid. You're getting your Social Security portion paid by the employer as well. You're getting training that you don't have to pay for, and you probably get paid for, or at least they pay for the expense of training, and vacation time, and sick time, on and on and on. We don't make that dollar amount on our check per hour. There is many more benefits that are factored into what it costs a dealership to have an employee, what that employee's cost truly is. So remember, you don't make $30 an hour. It costs the dealership a lot more than $30 an hour to take care of you. Also think about all the other people involved in that 150 or whatever I said dollars per hour. An advisor, a porter, a detailer, service manager, a warranty clerk, parts consultants in a certain way. All of those people are factored in as well. All of those people that do a job in the dealership are all factored in. So it's not just us. Guys, I know a lot of you are going to be like, Charles, you're an ass. You're a technician. You should be standing with us blindly. And I'm for a shift in this industry. I am for, I don't want to say removing flat rate, but shifting a compensation scale where I, as an incredibly talented technician, or you as an incredibly talented technician, can make as much money, honestly, as possible. And you're not making the same as Billy next door, who couldn't fix a sandwich if his life depended on it. So I get it. That part is not fair. Punching the clock and getting paid by the hour is also not fair. Why should I get the same as Billy F. off, who doesn't do anything and I'm working my eyeballs out? That lowers everyone's work ethic. Just remember, guys, there's ways that you can get screwed by demanding what you want. If you want a 40-hour-a-week guarantee, okay, well, what if I hire two of you and only let you work 40 hours a week? That's an option. What if I hire three of you and only let you work 40 hours a week? And then at 40, I'm sending you home and eliminating any possibility of you making over 40 hours a week. For me, 40 hours a week was a joke. Should have never had 40-hour a week. Always more, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, some weeks over 100. When it all boils down to it, this, like all businesses, has shifted. Being an employee can be really suck, right? You are at the mercy of your bosses, all the way up. You are at the mercy of your bosses. Stop just being an employee and think about your business a little bit differently. Shift what you're doing, and ultimately, if it's that bad, do what I did and move. Illinois is bankrupt. That area of the country is one of the most corrupt politically areas in the country. It has been that way for a long, long time. The Chicagoland area, a place that I grew up, I have so much sentimental attachment to. Our family is still there. So many of my friends are still there. Childhood friends since I was like 6 years old. My best friends are there. but the area of the country is broken. And I don't know that the union solution is the right one. Unions can do good things for employees. They can also do very, very bad things overall for an industry. The auto industry has so many problems. Technicians are taken advantage of. There are so many things that are not fair and should shift. Maybe looking at the European model where technicians don't have to supply their toolboxes. They can just go in and work at a dealership. Maybe that's a better model. Maybe the brand taking over the dealership is a better model and can reduce a lot of weird competition and just makes pain for everyone. I don't know the answer. The truth is, I just don't know the answer. But what I can tell you is I agree with you that the system is broken. I hope that without too much sacrifice, you get what you should get that's fair for everyone. And I hope that this doesn't, ruin being a technician in the Chicagoland area. I also don't think that this is the switch that's going to shift the industry. I really don't. I really think that this is just a blip in the radar. It'll get worked out. Both sides will be disappointed in what they get, and that's it. But remember, all those jobs that are very, very hard, that require an incredibly talented brain and hands to do, for every one of those, there's probably 10 different jobs that a hourly worker at $12 an hour could do. Oil changes, air filters, pollen filters, tires, wiper blades, all that stuff, very easy, very easy. That's why so many people do it themselves. It's very easy. You do not need to be a master certified technician to change oil and rotate tires. So as we complain about these things that we're not getting paid for, well, maybe I shouldn't pay your $35 an hour to do that. Maybe I should pay Bobby Joe over here to do it for $15. And then I don't have to worry about you. And I'll save the hard work for you, right? Because that's where we make some gravy money. Even things like timing belts are not hard jobs. A C-level technician should be able to do a timing belt very, very easily. We are going to see a shift. It's going to come. You are going to see this middle group of technicians washed away. You're going to have your base hourly guys doing all the easy stuff, and hopefully you're going to have one or two really talented guys doing the hard diagnostic work, and the shop might have one mid-level technician that works with the experts to put the parts on because, that's the old dude in the shop or the guy that just does the diagnostic work and you take the transmission out and I'll rebuild it kind of mindset. So I hope it gets worked out. In many ways, I am very much with you guys in my heart because I know there is so much unfair crap, bad management, bad ownership, bad behavior by the brands that rolls all the way down to the bottom. And unfortunately, we get the brunt of it as technicians. I just hope this is the right move for you guys. And remember, this industry will shift. It will change. I promise you. It's going to look very different in 10 years. It has to. This is not sustainable. It's old. It's dying. And I hope that the next system, whatever it is better than the last one. But remember, too, automation, we're not free from the repercussions of automation. Computers can do a lot of what we do. Robots can do a lot of what we do. And especially service advisors, I would say that's probably the biggest one in the service drive is advisors. When I can just hit menu on my phone and get the same level or sometimes better level of service than a service advisor. There's some great ones out there, and I respect the hell out of what you guys do. There's some pretty terrible ones out there too. I think most of us would agree. So guys, with that, in the comments, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please be civil. This gets very heated. There's a lot of passion and emotion attached to this situation. I hope it's settled soon. I hope you guys can get back to work and get back to wrenching on cars. And maybe this will point to be a small example for the rest of the country of, hey, technicians do have a lot of value, and we're smart, we're hardworking, and many of us really do love and care about what we do. And we just want to be paid fairly. With that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Questions, comments, you know what to do. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I imagine I'll see a lot of thumbs down on this one. If you want exclusive content, videos you can't get anywhere else, as well as discounts to places like Sonic Tools, Eastwood, MT Knives, Black Forest Industries, Eurowise, and more, check out the crew membership program. You can also support the show on Patreon, as well as using my Amazon affiliate link. Don't forget, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on Snapchat. All right, guys, hey, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.